Woo-hoo-hoo! I know you got it in you, Dr. Singer. Come on. Don't make him bring Mr. Bean out. Well, that was some pretty good dancing there, Dr. Singer. I didn't know you had it in you. That's awesome. Now, I might have misled you a little bit, and if I did, I apologize. You heard me prepping for this premiere unboxing, and you heard me talking about the Singer 221 and the Chicago World's Fair and all of that stuff that happened back in the 1930s. But I can tell you from knowing this customer fairly well, and this customer, by the way, is Mr. Louie Magdaleno, out of California, specifically Palmdale, California, that this, in this box, in this tote, is not a Singer Featherweight 221. Matter of fact, it's not even a Singer as far as I know. So while I appreciate you getting this all set up, how you move this box I have no idea, because while good things come in small packages, heavy things come in small packages as well. And I can tell you that this tote that you were able to get up on this workbench and get all this setup done, it weighs probably about 40 times more than you are. So well done. So I'm going to move you back to a place of safety as we begin to get involved with another unboxing. And I've got about 8 to 10 more to do over the next week to 10 days, hopefully. A lot of machines coming to the workshop, which is wonderful. And more on the way. So as I started to allude to, this particular tote came from California, Palmdale, California. And Louie Magdaleno, I'm just going to say Louie. Louie's been trying for over a decade to try to find someone that would be willing to take this restorative effort on with his machine. This machine has been in their family circle for quite a while. It's got a lot of sentimental value. And the reason that Dr. Singer, excuse me, the reason that Dr. Singer heard me talking about the Featherweight 221 and heard me talking about the Chicago World's Fair is because arguably this particular machine and model that Louie sent me from California, some people say was actually the precursor to the Featherweight. And one person writes on the internet, Singer Featherweight history actually begins before Singer and before 1933 and 1934 when Singer debuted their Model 221 at the Chicago World's Fair. The Featherweight name and style really had its beginnings in 1928 when the Standard Sewing Machine Company marketed their first featherweight sewing machine. It seems they were still toying with design names, blah, 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 and they finally settled on the name So Handy. And we've seen So Handys on this channel before, some of which actually were made by Singer. But this particular one was not. And I'm just reading some more notes here to see what else I want to share at this point. So a number of people, when this featherweight craze was first beginning back, whether you believe this writer, when it was beginning back in the late 1920s or the 1930s with the Chicago World's Fair, this writer makes it a point of saying that a number of people had their hands in that process and in that craze of trying to develop an interest in a more portable, lightweight type machine. So a lot of folks were involved with that. A lot of folks. But again, going back to Singer's effort in that regard, it was in 1934 that Singer first debuted the Featherweight 221 at the Chicago World's Fair. And that World's Fair, some people will sometimes, you'll hear them saying 1933 is when the featherweight was debuted. Others will say 1934. Well, in some sense, they're both right, because that particular exposition actually ran from November 1933 until May of October 1934. So when you hear these folks getting into tussles and fighting and saying, no, you're wrong. The featherweight was debuted in 1933. No, you're wrong. The featherweight was debuted in 1934. No, you're wrong. Blah, 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 blah. Well, they're actually both right, because that particular Chicago World's Fair ran for a long duration. Again, from November 1933 until October of 1934. Almost a full year that Chicago World's Fair ran. And the motto of that Chicago World's Fair, if you don't know it yet, was actually called Science Finds. Science Finds. And it was also known as the Century of Progress. So innovation was really the core principle behind that Chicago World's Fair that ran almost an entire year. And again, all of you featherweight followers, all of you featherweight 221 worshipers, don't fight anymore. This is not the Hatfields and McCoys, for goodness sakes. You're both right. What's the old saying? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So both of you are right. No more fighting. The Featherweight 221 was debuted in 1933 and 1934. All right? We're done with it. Put down your bobbins and your shuttles. Put down your seam rippers. That's what really makes me crazy. And stop fighting over this. You're both right. Okay? Oh, gosh, we have too much fun on this channel, don't we? So, back to Louie's machine. That came from Palmdale, California. Never been there. I bet you it's a beautiful spot. But again, Louie struggled for almost, well, actually more than a decade in trying to find someone that would take this machine on. He tried to introduce it to a number of restorers, a number of repairers, a number of restorative wizards, and none of them were willing to take it on. A couple of times, some folks took it into their commission, let it sit there, did nothing to it, and then ended up saying, there's no parts. Can't find any parts, can't do anything. Here you go, here's your machine back. And I don't know if they charged him or not. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But if they didn't, good, because they didn't do anything. So now, at Cow Country Vintage Sewing Machines and Restoration in O'Connell, Wisconsin, we're going to see what we can do to try to help Louie out. He's been battling this for over a decade. Over a decade! And even with all the resources out in the great state of California, and I don't know if he's reached further out than that, he hasn't been able to get it done. So we're going to see what we can do. But only after we get some more big band swing style music on. At least I hope that's what it is. Let me see what I can find here. All right, so the first one you heard I think was called Sing Swing Bada Boom, or Bada Bing. Bada Bing Bada Boom. I'm just going to throw some other ones on. We'll have some background music as we're beginning to jump into this. All right, here we go. I think we just played this on another premiere, and it's under swing and big band, but it sounds again more like Oklahoma, like something from the musical Oklahoma, doesn't it? I don't know. YouTube people are very smart, but I don't know if they're real good at categorizing music sometimes with genres and with themes, etc. But I better not say anything more. They might pull the plug. They might pull the plug! Ah! Yeah, almost like we're at a circus, doesn't it? Kind of like a circus, or oh, who knows. All right, so let's start to get into this small, tiny things in packages. What's the saying? Small, good things come in small packages? Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's start on this. That is a fun song. Gosh, that's fun. Yeah, whether it belongs to something like Oklahoma or whether it is big band swing, I'll take me another dip of that. That's real good stuff. And that one, by the way, if you're curious, was called Big Top. Big Top. All right, let's put on one that's labeled dramatic, but it's still under big band swing, and it's called Downtown Metropolis Chase. Downtown Metropolis Chase. Let's see what this sounds like. Woo! Yeah. Wow, I'm seeing like James Bond. What about you? They got me. Boy, that's fun, isn't it? You're going to see the chase, can't you? You can see someone getting chased, and They're trying to get away, and then they become the aggressor, and oh boy. So this next one is called the Big Conference, and it's labeled Funky Rock, so get ready, put your seatbelt on. Wow, that was intense, huh? I don't have many peanuts in here, but I'm just going to grab a quick box to throw them into. So, we continue the process. And I can see the container already. Okay, so the last one was called Big Conference. This one is called Pop in Gold. I'm going to get these peanuts out of here and we'll get the inside container out. just going to turn this music down real quick. Well, I think Louie packed this himself, and he's done a really good job. But let me just remind you, if you're going to use styrofoam like this, especially something as thin as this is like super paper thin, go ahead and take your strapping tape and go around it lengthwise, go around it widthwise, and just make it more rigid and more sturdy. Because if this is the piece that was on the bottom, which I think it was, to pad the bottom of the machine, you got a little bit of protection, but not much. And you can just see how easy it is to break through because it's just so doggone thin. So again, nothing wrong with using styrofoam, but reinforce it, strap it with tape this way, that way, and then you're going to have something that's real sturdy. It's not going to get brittle and break apart, and it's going to provide the protection that you're looking to provide to your treasure in the box or tote as you send it to the workshop, okay? All right, let me move this to the side as well. But again, a real good packing job, Louie, real good job. All right, so let's move this tiny tot into the center of the stage. And we will begin to unveil this treasure and see exactly what we have. Okay, so that last one was called Pop in Gold. This one is called this one is called Frame of Mind. Frame of Mind. I got a frog in my throat today, and I just ribbit. I just can't ribbit. I just can't get rid of it. I can't get rid of it. All right, let's continue the process. Here we go. And this was in the other box. I'm assuming that this is part of the case, and you somehow can attach this to the case and then carry it by the handle. So this is kind of cool. I don't know if this is original or not. I could ask Louie and find out, but it's certainly, if it attaches to the case, it's purposeful. It's useful. I like it. Yeah, it looks like it does. Right there on top. You kind of feel it. I don't know about you, I said this is not a Singer Featherweight 221, but that looks a lot like the Featherweight case, doesn't it? I think people were kind of competing for the spotlight a little bit, weren't they? And trying to mirror and match what the other folks were doing. This looks a lot like a Featherweight 221 box. And I better be careful and not say it isn't, because you know it's happened before. So let's see what we have as we continue to unveil Louie's treasure in this box. Trying to pinch this stretch wrap because it's real tight against the case, and I don't want to get too close to the case with the scissors. Well, that was a funky song, wasn't it? They labeled that one right. That was super funky. So that one is called Frame of Mind, I believe, and the next one is called Farther Ridden. Farther Ridden. All right, let's continue the process. Here we go. All right, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Knock my cars down here if I'm not careful. See what I'm saying by that case? How it closely resembles the Featherweight 221 original case? Of course, these folks wanting to distinguish themselves, whoever they were, whoever they are, they added this additional latching mechanism in the middle as well. So the Featherweight original container just has the two latches on the outside. These folks said, we're going to one-up you, and we're going to add an additional mechanism to secure the case. Bah! What do you think of that? I'll tell you, any of you that think the folks back in the sewing boom, when things were really in the process of innovation and developing, and people were refining things and defining things and distinguishing things, if you don't think it was cutthroat and aggressive, more so even than politics in today's theater, I'll tell you one thing, you need to go back to school, because it was intense as people were competing and trying to get patents and submitting designs and documenting things. Oh my gosh, just a little bit of crazy. So I'm going to attach this really cool lifting handle that Louie had in the box. And we'll try lifting it. I hope nothing falls off, because that would be bad in a live premiere, right? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it does. Cool. But I'll tell you one thing, this case and whatever's inside definitely weighs more than 11 pounds. Definitely weighs more than 11 pounds. It is a heavy, heavy, heavy featherweight style machine. I'm just curious what it weighs in at. I know that Louie sent me pictures. I think it was around 38 pounds, something like that. Let me see. I'm just calibrating my scale real quick. All right, let me move that out of the way. And what I'm going to do, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Maybe if I move the tripod you can see it. Why don't I do that? I'll just move the tripod. Probably easier. Maybe easier. So you can see we're calibrated now. Sort of calibrated. Let me see. Yeah, that actually is on 0, although in the camera, maybe because I'm off to the side a little bit. There we go. So we're calibrated at 0 right now, and obviously the thing doesn't weigh 280 pounds. Come on, people! So let me do this. I'm going to rotate the scale around. I'll come out on the shot. I'm going to rotate the scale around. So we're going to kind of be looking at its side saddle, like so. And we'll get this machine on there. I'm going to raise my tripod a little bit. Get this machine on there. We'll see what it weighs in at. It's definitely not in the featherweight class. It would not qualify in the featherweight class. Okay, so according to my scale, which is obviously not, you can't see a thing. Hold on a second. I went to all the effort of moving that tripod, and now I'm just going to come off the camera. I'll come off the tripod, excuse me. So we've got this case, this featherweight style case, on my scale. Again, it's not a really official scale, sort of. And we're coming in right about almost 25 pounds. And I'm guessing my scale is not absolutely accurate. So it's probably even a little bit more than 25 pounds. So while they're associating this particular make and model that Louie sent in the featherweight class, for the record, even if my scale is underestimating the weight of this package, it's about 2 times the weight, actually more than 2 times the weight of a featherweight 221. Featherweight 221 again weighs in at 11 pounds. In the case with all the goodies, the featherweight's going to come in much closer to what we're seeing here. So once we get the machine out, maybe we'll weigh the machine again and just see how close it is to coming in at a featherweight class weight. All right. So now I'm going to move the tripod back again. And we will see if we can get this machine out of the case. And then I'm just going to set this scale just to the side, and then we'll go ahead and weigh it again. I'm just curious what the net weight of the machine is. Yeah, because we've got peanuts and all kinds of other goodies in here as well that are weighing in. And you can see, even like the Featherweight original case that has that little tray that goes into the top, these folks have mirrored and matched a similar design to the Featherweight 221 case. Again, very cutthroat, very competitive. They don't want anyone to have a leg up on them. And they want to be able to show not only do we have what they have, but we've got even more than what they have. So I'm just going to take this out and kind of scoop the peanuts out of the way. And we've got, feels like a power cord probably. Just going to set some of this stuff to the side because again, and this is a attachment box. Louie has done a brilliant job with packing everything, but again, if you have attachments in a box, especially if the box is plastic, I don't know if this is plastic or metal, but make sure you turn your screen around, Scott, so we can see what you're seeing. Okay, make sure that you put like a little bit of a filler inside of the box as well to immobilize all those parts so they're not clanking against each other and you know, potentially causing damage, because metal, as it crashes in the metal, or if there's plastic inside as well, you can get some damage. So just stick like a little strip of bubble wrap inside of the accessory box, and then you won't hear all that noise. Ridiculous noise. I love that color. It's kind of a gold leaf color almost. Very cool, very cool. All right, let's get some of these peanuts out of the way, but first of all, I think I'll get a little bit more music on. Where are we? Which one did we just do? I think we just did Fare the Ridden, didn't we? Fare the Ridden. So now we're going to do, we did Fare the Ridden, now we're going to do Innocence. Innocence. Here we go. Nothing like an air compressor coming on in the middle of a live premiere. close, but not quite yet. Yeah, these packing peanuts almost create a little bit of suction on the machine when it's wrapped, especially as they kind of interact with that stretch wrap. Maybe it's a combination of suction and static electricity. I'm not sure. All right, we're going to go for it now. We're going to go for it. So it should let you look into the box a little bit. And so we have a little bit of peanuts on the bottom as far as padding. Again, I think Louie has done a brilliant job in packing, and it feels like the machine is padded around the edges and everything real well and on top. But I just put my hand underneath the bottom of Louie's machine, and there's no padding whatsoever. So I would recommend inside of a box like this, if you're shipping a machine like that, definitely put a little bed of padding underneath, more than just a couple of peanuts, maybe 2 or 3 layers of bubble wrap that machine can rest on and create a cushion. Otherwise, you've got the metal of the bottom of the machine, excuse me, you got the metal of the bottom of the machine potentially going like this against the bottom of the wood carrying case, and you could either damage the machine because you got no padding on the metal really, or you could damage the case as well. So I would just recommend that. Again, I think Louie's done a brilliant job, but we're always looking to improve things. We always want to help our fellow vintage collectors out if they're shipping or receiving machines. So even inside of a featherweight style carrying case like this, go ahead and pad the bottom, then put your machine on top of it. And I would recommend even padding the bottom of the machine on top of that additional padding on the bottom. Kind of like you've seen me do. You cocoon the entire machine, and then you pad the bottom of the case, and then you do everything else that you've seen Louie do, because again, I think he's done a really, really good job. Yeah, I'm going to have to show this case again because it has a mark on the inside here that you probably can't see. And I don't want to show it to you in detail yet because it's going to give away more than I want to give away right now. Okay? So I'm going to set this case off to the side. Actually, let me do this. I'll put our little accessory lid container back in there. Set this right behind me, and we'll get a little bit more music on and we will continue the process. But I'm curious, first of all, well, let me get all this bubble wrap off. Not that the bubble wrap and stretch wrap is going to weigh very much. It won't. But still, I want to have a pure net weight of what Louie's machine is, since they're associating it with the featherweight class. I'm just curious. So we'll continue the process of stripping this down, and then we'll get a net weight of it just so we know. All right, that last one was called Innocence. This one is called Home, H-O-M-E. Check my shot since we're down to the... Yeah, that's a good place. And again, if you're new to this channel and you're using scissors near the machine, angle the blades away from it, okay? All right, if you have any guesses, go ahead and get your guesses in. I think somebody's going to nail this one because I've given you a number of good clues, and you're also very, very smart. So we'll see if anyone nails it. If you do, I'll probably send you something special. Although I know you guys love learning in our classroom, and it's not always about getting something for free, although that's fun, isn't it? And I've got this facing the wrong way. Oh, I think you can see a major clue now. You can see a major clue now on the front of Louie's machine here. All right, I'm going to stop right there for a second. Any of you that watch this, I know a number of you watch this on big screen TVs. You may be able to see stuff that other people cannot see. So if you can, type it into the chat if you have an inkling as to what this machine is. I've got to type more genre music in. I'm out of space. Yeah, a lot of these songs come up again and again and again. So I'm going to type in another keyword, see if I can get something different. Okay, so what I typed in is trumpet, and I got Flight of Tunisia. Here we go. Let's see what this sounds like. Flight of Tunisia. Oh, so we're missing a belt on this. We can see it looks like probably about a 6-inch belt, maybe, approximately. All right, we got a little package in the harp space. Let me take this out carefully as well. Oh, I see. Louie put a little almost like a nylon type pad in there, kind of a nylon web made out of vinyl and stuff to just pad the base a little bit from whatever this is. Maybe this is the foot controller, huh? This is curious, isn't it? Look at that. It almost looks like it should be in your refrigerator. What are we having tonight for dinner? We're having leftovers. We're having leftovers, for goodness sake. Stop complaining. All right? Set that to the side. Just checking my shot here. Let me get a little bit closer for you. So if you didn't venture any guesses yet, we'll get you a little bit closer to this machine so you can see it a little bit more clearly. Again, if you're watching this on a big screen TV, you might have an advantage over the other folks that are watching it on their smartphone or their iPad or something like that. Just curious what's in this case. Again, my initial reaction when I looked at it is I got hungry and I thought, I wonder what we got from the restaurant that we didn't finish. It's just like surgery a little bit, coming underneath the edges so that whatever this wrap is around it, I don't tear the wrap. Looks like it's probably leather. This is a nifty bag. We just had that contest that took us kind of back to the 1800s, you know, in all of that period where people were doing gold rush stuff and all the other stuff. And this is just a really, really neat bag. I can almost imagine opening it up and finding gold nuggets or something like that. You know what I mean? Got the really cool leather ties on top and everything. And yes, I had to sniff it. I love the smell of leather, don't you? I'm going to have to make sure that when we do the actual premiere after the machine is up and running, Lord willing, that I don't have this anywhere nearby or I'll be very distracted. I'll be over there trying to sniff the machine and sniff the foot controller and the bag, and this is so embarrassing. So there's a pretty cool looking, wow. And it's going to need some wiring, but that's okay. Look at this. Isn't that the coolest thing you ever saw? And this is actually the equivalent of to engage the motor. It's the little lever, almost like a Bakelite button, or pressing down to engage it. Wow, that is really different. Very, very different. I mean, you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it this way. You could just cheat and just push down right on top of there. Matter of fact, that's probably a lot wiser to do it that way. I was going to see if I could rotate this around and get it out of the way, but it looks like it's, yeah. It only rotates this way. It doesn't rotate down. I thought you could maybe like rotate it around to lock it into place. Maybe you can. Let me see. Nope, you can't. So this is probably one of the coolest foot controllers that I've seen recently. And this is a big clue right here if you look at the numbering on there, assuming you can read it. Starts with the letters G and E. G and E. Nothing really on the back. And we've got our telltale sign of electrical opportunities with our electrical tape down here on the bottom. That old style wrapping that they had around the wires. So classic of the period. Well, I like this foot controller. I mean, after I rewire it, I'll like it even more, but that's really cool. Very, very cool. I don't know if the bag is cooler or the foot controller is cooler. It's kind of a toss-up for me. What about you? I think the bag is really cool too. All right, let me come out in this shot just a little bit. And we'll pick another piece of music to throw on. So this next one is called The High Line. The High Line. Here we go. So far I'm not hearing any trumpets, and that's what I typed in. So again, I'm not, no knock against YouTube, but I don't know how they're really doing at categorizing things. So, all right, let's just take a quick peek at our accessory box as well. See, if this had been packed with a little padding of bubble wrap in there, I would have no rhythm opportunity. So I'm kind of glad it wasn't. All right, I'll stop. I'll stop. Like a 9-year-old, I know. I know. I know! All right, I got to do it again. The wrist action's the best. All right, let's take a look in here. We're getting really close. Oh, nice box. This is not metal, it's not plastic. It's got almost like a cardboard cloth surface to it. You see that? And lots of goodies inside. Look at that. Lots of goodies. All original attachments. Very cool. And you see these are going to mount similar to the domestic style machines, the rotary machines. See that? You open up that little flange on the presser foot bar, and then you just slide it in, and then you spin that little disc back down, and it crimps on this to hold it into place. Hold it into place. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, again, a lot of mirroring and matching, even in the presser foot attachment designs that a lot of the companies were using. A lot of them are going to have similar mounting styles, which that's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to set this to the side as well. And we've got this last one here. Let me put on a little bit of music and we'll go ahead and open this last little goodie one. And then there are some big envelopes you may have seen me near the beginning of the premiere taking out as well, that Louie sent me, and I imagine that it's probably got Providence type materials in here. This first one is labeled So Handy Volume 1. I just wanted to make sure. All of a sudden I was thinking, wait a second, I want to make sure his address isn't. The second one, his address is on here, so I've got to rotate that down. Again, I really do try to protect the privacy of my customers. So this one, it says So Handy Volume Number 1. There, I just gave away another big clue, didn't I? So Handy Volume 1, and then So Handy Volume 2 on this second envelope that Louie sent. I can actually just set these up here as well. Keep everything together. All right, let's go ahead and open this. And then I want to get that net weight of the machine. Remember me saying I wanted to do that? We weighed the case and it was right around what, 25 pounds? Just shy of 25 pounds. Which again, the featherweight being 11 pounds, that made the gross weight of this with all the goodies, the peanuts, the case, the machine, it made it more than 2 times the net weight of the Featherweight 221. And here we do have some sort of a power cord and a belt. And again, nothing wrong with these stretch style belts, but stretch belts, unless they're fitted really, really well to the machine, and this may well be well fitted to the machine, if you get one that's just a little bit too small, it puts a lot of extra drag and a lot of extra work against that motor in trying to turn that machine. So if you want to use a stretch belt, it's fine. Make sure it's nice and snug on the pulleys, but not so snug that it's putting that drag factor on the motor, and then it's going to cause that motor to run warmer and maybe even cause damage to the motor. So that's just a quick tip on stretch belts. And this power cord is interesting. This power cord is, as far as the plug-in point, is very similar to a lot of machines that I've seen. Even the FAF or FOF 332. This looks like it would probably work on a FOF 332 as well. And this power cord actually looks like it's in fairly good shape. Looks like it's in fairly good shape. I would say really good shape, actually. So I'm going to set this over on the right side of the machine next to the foot controller, along with the belt. We'll get some more music on, and we'll get the net weight of Louie's machine. This next one is called Soul Searching. Alright, let's see what we have here. I'm just going to come off the tripod real quick and show you the net weight of this machine. Let me just show you, first of all, it's on the scale. It's evenly on the scale. So our net weight on this machine is it looks like it's just, it's just a hair over 15 pounds. It's just a hair over 15 pounds. Now you can see that little dot. Well, when it doesn't go out of focus, you can see that little dot. That little dot is the mark for 15 pounds, and we're just a little bit, just a hair over it. So this is coming in just a little bit more than 4 pounds heavier than the Featherweight 221, 4 pounds heavier. And I guess I would still consider that to be in the featherweight class, wouldn't you? It weighs just a little bit more than 15 pounds. So what other machine that you've seen on this channel a lot is real close to this weight as well? Do you remember? The big sister to the Featherweight, folks. The big sister to the Featherweight comes in at what? 16 pounds, right? And this is real close to being right around 16 pounds. I would say, let's just call it 16 pounds. So this machine that Louie sent me from California weighs in at the same weight, let's just say the same weight as the Singer 301 or the Singer 301A, the big sister to the Featherweight. So still kind of in the featherweight class, but much closer to the weight, pretty much spot on to the weight of the Singer 301 or the Singer 301A. So this is kind of like the big little sister of the Featherweight blah 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 blah. So there you go. If you ever wondered the net weight of a machine like this one that Louie sent, you now know. It weighs in pretty much exactly the same as a 301 301A. Why did I just go back in the tripod? Because we're at a point now where I'm pretty much going to go around the machine because we are running out of battery power. I just cannot find a battery solution for this new camera. It is driving me nuts. Nuts! Okay, so I'm going to throw on another song and then we're going to come off the tripod again. Why did I even go back on the tripod? But, oh well. And this next one is called Much Higher, and it's labeled hip hop. That's perfect music to go around Louie's machine, don't you think? Here we go. All right, here we go. So here's our stitch length controller right here. I'll turn this down just a little bit. So on this machine, it's very unique. On the front of the bed is our stitch length controller. And you can see, like some of the machines, instead of necessarily saying you know, simply the numbers, simply showing the numbers 1 through 6, they would put on here short and long, just to distinguish the stitch output that you were going to get. That makes sense. Here we've got a little built-in ruler on the bed. That's kind of neat. And a little bit of filigree decorative work you can see across here. What does this say? Ah, see what I was talking about as far as designs and that, and the competitiveness and the cutthroatness? They've got some pending patents for this particular machine. Pending patent number 80185. I wonder if they got it. Anyone want to look that up, see if that patent was actually awarded? This is kind of neat. It's almost like a little tower filigree design on the front of the pillar. I think that's really pretty. I like the color of this too, don't you? Isn't this a pretty color? Here we've got our tension control, our upper tension. And you can see it's not numbered, which tells you quite a bit about the age of this machine, doesn't it? It's going to be from the early 20s probably. I could check with Louie, or we could look at the history, these volumes of history. But I know that a lot of these came out 20s and 30s, so it's going to be somewhere in that period. The biggest clue of all. General Electric. So this is a General Electric So Handy, and I'll have to look at the actual materials that Louie sent to see if there's a specific model number associated with it. But this General Electric So Handy, again, was put into the marketplace by General Electric to go head-to-head with Singer's 221 after the debut in 1933 and 1934 at the Chicago World's Fair. And I think that this machine would have done really well. I think it's a really cool design. I'm going to rotate it around. Let's look at that faceplate. Which, unlike most of them, they always go with the chrome, shiny, blah, blah, blah. This particular one... Oh, we got all kinds of stuff down in here. Look at this. I don't know if you can read that or not. I can't read it through my little screen. Not very well. Looks like a serial number. Ah, and there's our answer. It's a Model A. Almost like a car. So it's a General Electric Model A So Handy. General Electric's Model A So Handy. And the serial number is 93. Is that a 9? It's a lot harder to see it through this screen, folks, than you might think. Come on, camera. Yeah, I think that's 9344, something like that. Interesting setup this has, doesn't it? Very, very interesting setup. So back to the faceplate as I get very distracted. Eventually. I think how it's embossed with the GE is really cool. I think they made the right choice over a standard chrome style faceplate, don't you? So let's turn it a little bit more and we'll kind of look at that lighting system. I don't know if one of my LED bulbs would work in here or not. I don't know if that feels like it's probably a, yeah, that feels like it's probably a screw-in. It's not going to be the style, the two-fin style one that I currently have in the LED lights. Yeah. Yeah, so that won't work. It's kind of a neat bulb too, isn't it? It has kind of a vintage look to it. And then finally we get over to here, the rear of the bed. And the bed all in all looks like it's pretty good, although I see some tape on there where someone had taped something to the bed at one point. And that tape is never a good thing. Breaking down those adhesives and stuff to get it off of the paint without damaging the clear coat, and that is always a little bit of a challenge, but we'll give it a go. Then on the back of here we have the plug-in point. So that power cord we saw is going to plug right over there. I'm going to turn this a little bit more and we'll look down at the motor, see what we can see on the motor. If it doesn't say General Electric, I'll be really concerned. So it does say General Electric Company, obviously. Out of Schenectady, New York. Go New York. Go New York. Go New York. And they even give a model number on the motor as well, as you can see. So 60 cycles and 110 volts. I can do some research, and maybe some of the material that Louie sent will help. But I'm guessing that this motor would be somewhere comparable if they were going head to head with the Featherweight back in the 30s when this General Electric came on the scene. Yeah, I'm guessing that motor is probably going to be somewhere between a 0.4 to a 0.6 amp motor. Maybe a little bit bigger. Again, they were always trying to one-up each other, so you never know. It might have been the case that they ended up going with a larger style motor. And here you can see where they really did kind of duplicate the design of the Featherweight. The Featherweight also, where you can take out these screws on the Featherweight and then you've got the worm gear interlacing off the main shaft. I'm guessing if we took this cover off, you would find a very, very similar design. So this is a maintenance, if you have this machine, this is a maintenance point that you need to go into to make sure that that is properly greased and oiled. And here's our lighting system, not looking horribly bad. Again, even if this outside layer of wrap is damaged, it's not necessarily unsafe to operate as long as you're not seeing bare wires. That would not be a good thing. And here again is our pulley system that this belt is going to ride on. From here, it's hard to do it with one hand, folks. It really is. Let me go the other way. See if that's easier. Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, and I would say that this is a little bit tighter than it needs to be, but it's not ridiculous. And we're getting some good action down at the needle. It's turning pretty freely. It'll turn a lot more freely once I get done with it, but all in all, it's not bad. And see that, watch this belt carefully as I turn it. See how it kind of pops up? See how it fluxes up right here? Watch it. That means that it's not riding evenly over these pulleys. and it's going to create potential slippage and also drag as well on that motor. So I'll probably see if I can find, maybe I will be able to, maybe I won't, see if I can find a suitable V-style replacement for this stretch belt, just so that we don't have to put that extra work on that little motor. And here I hadn't pointed it out along this base, but it does look like we have some rust on this machine. And that may be more varnishing than rust, but it's a combination of both. And we've got the same thing across the front of the machine as well. I would say that's probably more varnishing than rust. And I'm just curious if we have access to a drip pan on the bottom, like the Featherweight, but it doesn't look like we do. And you can see now where a lot of that extra weight, again, this weighed in right about the same as a 301, 301A, 16 pounds, right? So it came in about 5 pounds heavier than the Featherweight 221. But look at what that base of this machine is made out of. That's lacquered wood. That's actually wood on the bottom. You can see it when we rotate the machine back. And we do not have, and I would say that this is probably, this would have been something that if I had worked on the Singer Featherweight side, I would have pointed out as a flaw. You've got all these screws, a ton of screws. I'm going to try to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got almost a dozen screws that you have to take out to remove this wood base panel in order to do potential maintenance to the bottom of this Model A General Electric So Handy. So I think that this was a mistake in their design. They should have gone with something easier, where there would have been a mounting stem that came out in the center, kind of like the Featherweights, and then a little threaded bolt, or a nut, excuse me, a threaded nut that would go over that stem to hold this base on. You could have used the same base if you wanted to use this as a marketing point. Say, you know, we've got an all wood base to make it sturdy. Fine, just drill a hole, have a stem coming through, and then put a threaded nut on there so that you can access that for maintenance a little bit easier. So this is something that I would have done differently. Not that they would have listened to me necessarily. And then here's obviously our plug-in point for the foot controller on the front of the machine, which I think is an improvement. I think the foot controller coming off the front of the machine is not a bad idea, so that that cord can drop down. It's not wrapping around. It's not getting involved with interfering with these pulleys like it does on some machines, where it kind of goes across the pulleys, kind of like on the Husqvarnas when you're trying to bring all those cords around the front, the Swedish Beauties, and it's interfering with that bobbin winder assembly. So I think this is cool. That's a good improvement. This is not as good of an improvement in my opinion. So I think this is a really cool machine. I don't know about you. Again, this is the General Electric So Handy Model A from the, I would say probably right around the 1930s. Came out probably a little bit before. It might have been late 1920s, early 1930s. Again, the argument is around the latter part of the 1920s, and that's why they're saying the Featherweight 221 was not really the first Featherweight. This was. So, a lot of arguments to be made. Thankfully, we're not arguing anymore about when the Featherweight 221 debuted, because it was 1933 and 1934, right? At least we've settled that. So, this is going to be something that I will eventually be able to take on, not right away. Again, I've got a backlog of machines right now that is significant. But I am really excited to be able to get this back onto the workbench and really begin seeing what I can do to help out Louie, again, who has been kind of struggling with trying to find a solution for this machine for over a decade. Over a decade, folks. That's crazy. And you may have noticed as we've been going around the machine, there's no balance wheel. There's no balance wheel. Interesting. All right, so the General Electric So Handy Model A, there it is. in all of its glory. In all of its glory. Just seeing if I can end with a song. How about the Fur Parade? I'm not making that up, folks. How could I? Here we go. All right, so here you go. The first time being shown on this channel, the General Electric So Handy Model A, sent by my friend Louie from the great state of California. God bless, and stay tuned for other great premieres like this where you see machines that you've never seen before. And you see a machine that is trying to bump the Princess of Singers to the side and saying, "Hold on, sister, I was first." Yeah. Yeah, I was first. And that's what it's about in the marketplace, right? How long has Pepsi been trying to catch Coke? But because Coke came on the marketplace first, they've never, ever, ever been able to catch them. Not in spite of all of their clever marketing. So, there you go. The first featherweight, some are arguing, from the 1920s, predating the debut of the Singer Featherweight 221 at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933 and 1934. God bless.